Hello and welcome to my 420 Wrestling Observer review. And you can buy these Hannibal 420 sweaters on our merchandise store at thehannibaltv.com. I did work out twice today, 2 weight workouts. So did biceps, chest, back, and abs. So I am entitled to a Friday night puff off of this. And there is a good amount of news. Sabu retired, former WWE, WCW, ECW star. His final match was against the Blood Hunter this past April, which we'll see if it's going to be the Sandman's final match, the one he had with the Blood Hunter in October, because that didn't end too well for Sandman either. But I'm sure the Blood Hunter would have been very honored to know that he was the last match of Sabu's career. I'll have to get Kevin Sullivan to pass that news on to him. WWE announced for their third quarter revenues, they made $255,853,000 with a $43,486,000 profit. So people that say Vince McMahon is crazy and is dumb, doesn't know what he's doing. Well, in one quarter, that's not a year, that's just one quarter of the year, he made over $43 million in profit. So that's pretty impressive. That is down, though, from last year's profit. Last year, this same quarter had over $48 million in profit. And they released a bunch of wrestlers this week. None of them actually are really surprising. Some of them are disappointing, but none of them are really surprising. I'll go through the list of them now for anyone that didn't hear it so far. From the main roster, it's the big fat man, Keith Lee, who they tried to get over so many times and he could never get over. Mia Yim, who is Lee's fiance. Eva Marie, who never could quite figure out how to wrestle, but had a good look to her. Nia Jax, who is not only out of shape looking, but was allegedly known for hurting wrestlers. Shouldn't be a surprise that they got rid of her. She was somehow related to The Rock, is probably how she got her job, despite not being in good shape. Even Meltzer writes here, she's Dwayne Johnson's cousin. So this was a surprise for that reason. Who else? Karrion Kross, who I had hopes for, but they didn't use him well. They brought him in with a lot of hoopla, but then, like, for his main roster debut, he lost to Jeff Hardy. So when you're losing your main roster debut, that's not a good sign, but I'm sure he'll do just fine wherever he ends up. A lot of people have already messaged World Class and Great North Wrestling saying they want to see Karrion Kross and Scarlett versus the Blood Hunter and Blaze. So who knows if that'll happen in 2022. Grand Metalik, never heard of him. Apparently he had asked for his release and not been granted it some time back. Now he got his wish. He doesn't have a job with them anymore. Lince Dorado apparently also asked for a release. So he should be happy now. Harry Smith, who was under contract for like 7 months and had one dark match. I'm not surprised they released him because they weren't doing anything with him. but they should have done something with him. They should have given him a chance because he's really the last connection of the Hart family other than Natalia. I don't know if any of the great-grandchildren are wrestling or the next generation. I know Ted had a kid because in the Matt Rats days, Ted Hart would have his kid around him, who at that time was still pretty young. So the kid would probably be in his 20s now. Obviously, Ted didn't raise him, but at one point in time, Ted was saying he was going to start training the kid real young, but I don't know if whatever happened to him. B-Fab also got fired. Apparently, there's no talk of a bunch of NXT wrestlers also got fired, which I've said in other reports. I'm not even going to bother going over again because the only two that I knew were Scarlett Bordeaux and Taya Valkyrie, and both of those had more potential than they were used for. But again, we'll see them on the independents, and I'm sure we'll see them in companies like PCW Ultra and World Class Pro Wrestling, so it'll be good for the independents. There's not going to be a takeover show WrestleMania weekend at this point. AJ Styles is out of action for an undisclosed medical reason. Petey Williams, who once appeared on a Great North Wrestling event, got a tryout as a producer. Dynamite did a 0.33 rating. NXT did a 0.15 rating. Raw did a 0.47 rating. SmackDown did a 0.29 rating. Rampage did a 0.25 rating. And Impact did a 0.03 rating. The October 29th SmackDown taping in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania had only 3,000 paid, which was the smallest number since SmackDown returned. The Raw November 1st show in Providence, Rhode Island, where I've actually been to this arena before, drew 4,500 paid. That weekend when I went to see and interview Zeus at the Rhode Island Comic Con, and now he's dead. So I'm really glad that I attended that. The food in Providence, Rhode Island is delicious. One of my favorite foods is octopus, and I had that every night I was in Providence. I had mussels as well. I'm going to have to go back there. Very good seafood there. The November 3rd Dynamite and Dark Elevation tapings outside of Kansas City drew 3,700 paid. No attendance was reported for Rampage. John Moxley entered an alcohol treatment facility. Best of luck to him. UFC news. Glover Teixeira, which I'm probably pronouncing wrong, who's 42, submitted Jan Blachowicz at UFC 267 October 30th to become the UFC light heavyweight champion. Very impressive at 42. The Madison Square Garden UFC event this week, UFC 268, sold out almost instantly and is going to be the fourth largest gate in Madison Square Garden history. And that, of course, is due to probably having the fourth highest ticket prices in MSG history. Jake Paul is going to do a pay-per-view boxing match with Tommy Fury on December 18th at the Amalie Arena in Tampa, Florida. Fury is 7-0 with 4 knockouts. And apparently this is going to be an 8-round fight at 192 pounds, and it will be a big test for Jake Paul, who has appeared in WWE. I'll get into some of your questions. Not a huge, other than the firings and the revenue reports, there's not a huge amount of news this week. It didn't seem like they got a lot of house show numbers. Nicholas is doing the same. Ivan says Sabu retired Kevin Sullivan. Alan says Sabu is one of the all-time greats. Keith Lee was a big flop. So many good talent. I don't feel bad for any of these people. I'm so sorry. Because I've been in wrestling since 2001, and I've had to work real jobs my whole life. So I really don't feel bad for people that have got to have like their WWE is like a dream job. You make a lot of money. You got medical people in the back. If you get hurt in the ring, you get your injuries taken care of. You get to wrestle in front of a lot bigger crowds in the indies. You have the opportunity to make millions if you actually try your hardest and make opportunities for yourself. So I don't really feel bad for any of them. Although, as I said, some of the decisions I disagree with because I never had those opportunities. I did get a contract offer, but due to a reason of an asshole screwing me over and infecting me with something, I never got the opportunity to prove myself. And just showing the success that I'm going to hit 300,000 subscribers today, and I get between 3 and 6 million views a month on YouTube, and I've never been in a major wrestling league. That just goes to show you that I have talent. Alan's glad Nia Jax is gone. I'd rather, personally, I sound like an asshole, but I'd rather watch the attractive wrestlers. Oh boy. I don't know what's up. George, I have no idea who Ember Moon is. Yes, Zucchini, I have to interview Victoria in the morning. That's the other reason why I'm not going for the run tonight. Because usually when I run, I don't get back until 4 in the morning, and then I stay up another 2 or 3 hours. So I got to get up. Thanks, Victoria. I am looking forward to interviewing her. There's very few people that I will get up early for. And yes, 10 a.m. is very early for me. That's one of the advantages of YouTube. You can work pretty much your own hours. Although I do work a real job too, and I really enjoy it. Keith Lee will come back to haunt WWE. I don't think so. Keith Lee can go bitch about someone attempting to rape him like he did last year. A man of his size whining about a girl trying to rape him. Come on. Zucchini, yeah, Davey Boy Smith is still going to wrestle. Yes, I am going to hit 300,000 subscribers today. So if you're watching this and aren't subscribed, like 80% of my viewers are not actual subscribers, please subscribe. Maybe I can hit 300 by the end of this. Mike, I found the Dark Side of the Ring steroid trial one boring. I found that it was like a promo for Jerry McDivitt, the WWE lawyer. What I found more interesting than the steroid trial Jerry McDivitt interview was the interview he did with John Paz that I posted on my channel this week, where he like touched on so many cases that WWE has been involved with. It was very interesting. Eric, what's up from Colorado? Maybe I'll be able to say it in my book. But I had a lot of fun in Colorado when I was in Colorado. R.I.P. Debo. No, don't know who that is. Oh, Debo, sorry. The other name of Zeus. I still haven't seen that movie with Ice. I don't know if it's Ice-T or Ice Cube. I'm so sorry. That's how little I know about that movie. That Zeus was actually more famous for that movie than wrestling. Indigo says octopus is unclean according to the Bible. Which Bible? There's like hundreds of thousands of religions out there, and every single one of them will tell you they are the real religion. And people wonder why there's always so many wars going on. I do like shrimp and crab, particularly the sushi version. Pubert, 300,000 subscribers is amazing. Julian says yes. Friday is the interview that Debo/Zeus is from. By the way, I'm going to ask a lot of fan questions in that Victoria interview tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. So please feel free to help me out. Do I have any UFO-related interviews coming up? I really want to interview Tom DeLonge from Blink-182 and To the Stars Academy. If any of my UFO viewers want to help me harass him and Luis Elizondo, those are two UFO domain people I really want to interview. Bubba, do I do podcast interviews? No, I don't. Unless they pay me. Oh my God, this person really doesn't like octopus. I feel that way about zucchini. No, I did not. I haven't even watched the AEW highlights for a few weeks. That's how uninterested I am in AEW. And I'm going to see if I could hit 300,000 subscribers by the time this is done. Let's see where I'm at now. I know I'm going to hit it at some point today. I'm very, very close. I'm 299,937 subscribers. So please subscribe if you're watching this. Lacey Von Erich. I'm going to show you something. She actually sent me a picture. Let me just find the picture. Hold on here. She sent me hello not too long ago. So that little feud is over. We're better friends than we are enemies. And she's one of the people I want to interview on here soon. Do I run every day? No. As I was saying earlier, I worked out today. Twice. And sometimes I do DDP yoga and work out. I do some form of working out almost every day because I have to, because I'm a work addict. Otherwise, I'll just work all day without any break. Unless, of course, I have appointments or meetings. Have I ever had an experience with a UFO or extraterrestrial? I have not. But I almost want to have an experience with an extraterrestrial so much that I would be willing to die to have an experience. Or if they want to take me away, please take me away. I don't care. I really don't care. There's literally nothing holding me back anymore. So yes, if somebody actually told me, one of these UFO people said that because I do UFO interviews, they might be monitoring me or at least watching some of them if they exist. So you heard what I'm saying. If you exist, I'd be interested to meet you. Len, how come I don't like Tatanka? I wrestled him twice, and his nails were long, and he chopped in like the nipples. and the neck. And he was farting in one of the matches. And he's just a pain in the ass. I tried to work with him as a promoter a couple of times. And yeah, I just don't want to ever see or talk to him or even talk about him again. I just don't like him. I used to actually not mind him, but he's one of the wrestlers. Some of them you meet and they actually live up to your childhood standards, like Jacques Rougeau, for instance. And like you like them more after you get to know them than you grew up. But Tatanka is one that I kind of liked, but actually knowing him as a person, you end up hating them. Good morning to Herb Simmons, who has a show on this channel on Sundays at 9 p.m. Eastern, also on our The Hannibal TV Facebook page. Pelican says Nia Jax got the axe. Richard checking in from the UK, where, by the way, the Blood Hunter is going to be wrestling in Gloucestershire, UK, February the 19th. And I believe Blaze is going to be joining him. So that's going to be quite something. Scorpio is also going to be on that card. And I understand Kevin Sullivan is going to be around. And Kevin Sullivan is also going to be at Christmas Star Wars that Jacob Fatu has been added to in Irving, Texas on the 11th of December, where Bloodhunter takes on Carlito. And of course, Stan Hansen is going to be at PCW Anniversary this January. So lots coming up in the new year. Also, from what I understand from the Qatar Pro Wrestling owner, there's going to be news on the Qatar Pro Wrestling 2022 pay-per-view coming soon. So I will be at that 2022 Qatar Pro Wrestling event. You've already seen clips of the matches. Obviously, I'm not going to be smoking weed there. They have a different stance on it than Canada, where it's perfectly legal. By the way, Noah is going to be airing the Rene Dupree versus Bloodhunter match on their streaming service November 8th and 9th. Pro Wrestling Noah Japan has more buzz about it these days than New Japan, which has lower interest than ever. Eric, why does WWE not use jobbers? It's a simple formula that I liked. I'm not the booker or the writer. There's like, 30 or 40 writers. It's not just a handful of people anymore. If someone ever wants to fund me on how to run a successful wrestling company with a TV show, I would definitely use jobbers. 100%. The formula worked. Trevor C. Yeah, he probably, who knows what he has to sign, and he doesn't want to end up in jail. And I don't really have any U.S. political views. I'm not a very political person. Mike D. Piper is actually in the room with me sleeping right now by my foot. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Nuclear war or something or other. Ernest, congratulations from the UK on reaching that amount of subscribers. You're welcome. I'm on my way to 1 million. So again, let's see where I'm at now. Have I gained any more? It was at 29,938. Let's see if this thing actually updates. It does not update, so I'll give up on this extended podcast, but it's without saying in the next hour or so, at the rate of subscribers I get, that's going to be up. Well, John, since you say Piper is awesome, I'm going to get her to close this off. Just so you guys don't think I'm making up that Piper is with me. Here she is. She likes it in the dark, too. About the Cody call, I don't think he wrestles anymore. I don't know whatever happened to him. Somebody said nuclear bong. Yeah, that sounds a lot more fun than nuclear bomb. JJ says you're cute, Piper. Someone says you're the best. She's sweet to me, but believe it or not, she's a very aggressive and protective dog. Okay, there was a question I wanted to ask. Pubert, John Greenwald said he would do an interview with me. And then when I followed up with him, maybe I will check in with him again. But he didn't seem to want to when I followed up with him. But maybe he will now. What was my favorite interview? Paul Hellyer, which was another UFO-related interview, because he is the highest-ranking government official I ever interviewed as a former Minister of National Defense of Canada, and he passed away this year. And he was the highest-ranking government official to go on the record about UFOs being as real as airplanes in the sky. And by the way, he has a military background, obviously. It's the Minister of National Defense. He was one of the longest members of, I think, Parliament, and he was also a pilot himself, and he'd also seen UFOs himself. So that was my favorite interview. The issue with Paul Roma is, first of all, he wants a lot, and second of all, he doesn't use PayPal. And there's actually some payment methods like this. Maybe I have it wrong, but is there something called Venmo or something? There's a couple US payment methods that we actually have no way of using in Canada. So again, he doesn't have PayPal. I don't know. I have nothing against him, to be honest, but who knows? I'm sure it'll happen eventually. Fart Doctor. Piper's aggressive to everyone, but she's not going to do anything because she's 5 or 6 pounds. But she thinks she's the size of a pit bull. This is why I have to keep her on a very short leash, because she's actually not afraid of pit bulls, and she will actually pick fights with big dogs. She's a good heel. She could actually get big dogs very, very aggressive, which is one of the reasons why I like to walk her at night. Which wrestler, Dan, is on my bucket list to interview? Steve Austin. I would like to interview him, 100%. Well, Fart Doctor, Sting is going to be at the World Class Pro Wrestling event in Wichita, Kansas, February 27th. So I will see him there at the Cotillion. So chances are I'll get some type of interview with him. Maybe he'll do the World Class cast before. Why in the world would I want to interview him? Yeah, Vimo and Cash App, Venmo. Okay, we don't have that in Canada. Cash App, I'm not sure. Piper versus Cody Rhodes, dog. I would like to see the Blood Hunter against Cody Rhodes. I think that would actually be an interesting match. I've messaged Ahmed Johnson on Facebook. He's gained a lot of weight in recent years, and the few interviews I've seen of him have very poor Wi-Fi, unless he's changed it since. I would interview him, 100%. She's a baby, but she bites, yes. I like to say she nips. Ozzy, I've been trying to get a new Honky Tonk Man interview, but he hates wrestling right now and wants nothing to do with the wrestling business. Tony Condello, the only connection I've had with him was a negative one. If anyone ever wants, I once had, let me look it up. I'll actually put the link to the story in the description, and then I'll go into detail on this answer. Hold on. Okay, yeah. So we had an event in Thunder Bay, Ontario, which is like 18 hours here from here up north. And I had like 2,000 or so people. This was not the Terry Funk year, but the year before. And the story about how I got fucked on that is a long one. But basically, there was two people that were supposed to provide me rings for that show, and both of them backed out. So we got there. There was like a gate worth over $30,000. There was like 8 or 9 fly-ins for that show. And I was very poor in those days. I was working like 3 jobs, and literally all my money was invested in this show. And as I said, I don't know what it was, $34,000, $35,000, $36,000 gate. And I really needed that because there was a bunch of stuff. I already had to pay deposits, and I already paid for the arena, which was very expensive, and all these flights and all the hotels. So it's like not doing the show was not an option. And the ring didn't show up. And one of the suggestions someone had was call Tony, because this happened the day before. So Winnipeg is closer to. Let me look up the time. It's way closer than here. It's 7 hours and 29 minutes. So yeah, so 7 hours compared to 18 hours. So the Thunder Bay is really out in the middle of nowhere. So he knew I was screwed, and I understand he didn't want to drive 7 hours. He was going to pay students to drive, but he was offering me like $7,000 for him to drive his ring after I told him the predicament I was in. So I thought that was a little mean to, like, you're hearing this story from a fellow wrestling promoter where bad stuff happened, and like you're not saying 5,000, you're not saying 3,000, you're saying $7,000 to rent a ring, which, by the way, at that time ring rentals were usually like $400 or $500 plus gas and hotel if people needed a hotel. So we ended up renting a boxing ring and doing a show at the boxing ring. But it was funny because it was an old boxing ring, and we had to put it together ourselves. And we didn't really know how to. So like sometimes when people were hitting the ropes, the ring was actually swaying back and forth. There was very few bumps taken on that show. Jeremy Prophet was one of the few that bumped. I think I wrestled Abdullah on that show, and we didn't even go into the ring. So yeah, that was my only experience ever with Tony Condello, and I was never interested in doing any of those tours up north. I don't like cold. Richard, yes, I've had so many great guests and so many great people on this channel. Mike, I don't know what I would ask Steve Austin. It depends what his rules are. His daughter, Cassie, I really like and really find beautiful. But yes, she's married, and I am friends with her. So I don't know if I'd want her pissed off at me. So I probably wouldn't ask that, to be honest with you. So there's the answer. I would just like to, there is a lot of questions that he hasn't answered on his podcast. And I would like to ask him those, because I was a fan of him, but I'm one of the few that was like a stunning Steve Austin fan, more than Stone Cold Steve Austin. Yes, I would interview Ernest Miller. Hogan, I would interview 100%. 100%. He's got all of his money, and supposedly he doesn't like me that much. But he has seen a bunch of my videos. I have met him in person and talked to him on the phone before, but I no longer have his phone number. Probably for a good, and it's probably for the best that I don't. I'm just gonna check to see what my numbers are at now. Oh, it's gone up to 299,951. So I'm less than 50 away from 300,000. If I don't like the cold, why do I live in Canada? Because you need to get a work visa and green card to move to the US. And the work visa applications alone are like anywhere from like 12 to 25,000 from the people I've talked to. And that doesn't guarantee that you're going to get a work visa. I'm able to do work there now for my own company, a legal way, but I can't stay in there past 6 months at a time. And I have to keep my Canadian residence. But one day I will move. Trust me. Would I interview Mike Tyson? Of course. Orient Express? Yes. Hello to Eric Tate. Mike, I prefer to live in Arizona. Dilbert, I interviewed Magnum TA. Search it up. I interviewed Magnum TA. Pelican J, would I forgive the goon for being drunk and rude? No. In fact, I would like the Blood Hunter to wrestle him. I actually told the captain that I would actually pay the goon money. I said, ask me how much he wants. I will sponsor the Blood Hunter. I will pay the Blood Hunter's fee, and I will pay the goon's fee to have that match. So maybe after he took his beating from the Blood Hunter, I would forgive him, but he needs to take that beating. Long story short, is there travel restrictions to come back to Canada? You need a COVID molecular test, which is usually $200 in the US. Even if you're only there for a day or two, you got to get this $200 test still, which sucks, but there's no more quarantine if you are vaccinated. And someone just asked if I was vaccinated. I did get vaccinated when I was in Dallas because I'm actually lucky I didn't catch COVID because I was still shaking people's hands and not wearing a mask as much as possible and around crowds of 1,000 plus all the time in Texas. And I didn't have medical insurance for COVID. So I thought it'd be smart to get vaccinated. Carlos, Spen, it's already cold here in November. We can get snow here from November to April. I don't want to deal with the cold anymore. Interview Arne Anderson. There is an Arne Anderson interview on this channel, but because he works for AEW, I don't think that he would do it for the price that he would make back. And I'll be honest with you, people say Arne Anderson's underrated. I don't think he's underrated. I think he's overrated. I don't mind him. I actually like him as a person, but I never found him entertaining as a wrestler. Sorry. I know that's going to break the Southern people's hearts, but he wasn't a big star here in Canada. Let's see what my analytics are at. Please subscribe, by the way. I keep looking at them to see what they're up. I don't think I want to wait another half hour for it to reach 300,000. There's about 40 people left for it to reach 300,000. So if you're watching and not subscribed, just please click on this. Bob Backlin interview. I have done a short one. I've asked him many times to do a long one. I would like to do a long one. Richard had his vaccinations in the UK. If I trust Bill Gates. Well, in Canada, you can't even do it. I don't agree with forcing vaccinations, by the way. I don't agree with it at all. But in Canada, you can't go to restaurants unless you're vaccinated. You can't go to the gym, at least in Ontario, unless you're vaccinated. And I hate working out at home. I love going to the gym. I'd rather die than not go to the gym. Get Blood Hunter to deal with the captain. The Blood Hunter doesn't sign autographs unless under very special circumstances, so I don't think he would do too well on one of the captain's videos. And I think he's already represented by Blaze. And Blaze is a lot better looking than the captain. So I don't think the captain will be able to change the Blood Hunter's mind, because I think there might be more to those two than just managers. Mike, do I think Vince McMahon is creatively bankrupt? Do I think Triple H is being pushed aside in WWE? I think Triple H had a cardiac issue, and that's why he's not there. They should push him to the side. NXT was a giant flop, and they got their ass kicked by AEW. So probably the only reason he still has his job is because he's the son-in-law, because I would fire the creative guy that embarrassingly got beat by AEW like way more weeks than not. All right, I'll listen to you rather than a doctor. But as I said, I don't care. I did it for the restrictions reason, and also because I didn't have medical insurance. I'm not political. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. JJ, I'll tell you a secret. That Backlin character is pretty much his real life, the Mr. Backlin one. I've been around him for an entire weekend, and he seems like he's about to explode at any time. That 90s show Yokozuna interview, he's passed away. I hate to break this news to you. I don't know if you're a man or a woman, but I hate to break this news to you. Yokozuna is dead. Ozzy, the goon would fall on his head entering the ring. I think the Blood Hunter would literally feast on him. He needs feedings, and if he doesn't get his feedings, he loses power. So I think the goon would be an easy feeding for him, and he might actually put the goon fully out of his misery. So it might be a benefit for the goon. Lalo confirms the death of Yokozuna, who from all reports was a really good guy. Oh, these numbers are climbing slow. It's going to be there soon, but please subscribe if you're watching this. Backlin lives gimmick. Backlin, someone even told me that they thought he might be losing it, and that might be the reason that he's not going to do the shoot interview. So who knows? I do know he does use CBD. Speaking of which, I'll take another puff off of this. You know what? Sometimes they stick, and you actually can't get any out. Dan wonders who is the goon. The goon is one of the worst gimmicks in WWE history, and the person that plays the goon is an alcoholic. I am just a pothead. Come on live when I hit 300K. You know what? I think I'll do that, actually. That's a better idea. did I see the Punk Kingston angle? I actually saw it on the Twitter feed, the headbutt that they did. But I didn't actually see it. I just saw like the GIF of it. Do the helicopter, I'd be kicked off YouTube. I would be kicked off of YouTube. I don't think you could have nudity on it. I was thinking about it the other day. Actually, I had a very weird idea that someone might steal it if I tell you guys, and I might actually do it. It's kind of porn related with YouTube, but not actual showing anything that would get me kicked off of here. But it's an interesting one. Oh, someone brought up Matt Bourne. There always has to be someone bringing up Doink or Matt Bourne, or it wouldn't be the Hannibal TV stream. So thank you for the little 45-minute chat. Have a good night.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please like this video if you enjoyed it and click the subscribe button to not miss any of our latest shoot interviews, match videos, or news updates.